That's pretty much everyone joined on the webinar there, so we can get started. So thank you for joining me today. My name's Nathan Garner. I'm the project manager at Dynamic CCTV. Today we're going to be taking a look at the HikCentral temperature screening solution that's offered from Hikvision themselves. This will be running through the HikCentral system. So there's a few slides that I've got that we'll run through, and then towards the end we'll do a live demo of the actual system with a full HikCentral server setup I've got up and running currently. And then we'll do a Q&A at the end. So if you put any questions that you've got in the Q&A section, and then at the end I'll go through those and we can get that sorted. What is thermal? So during the current climate, this solution that Hikvision have put together to read the temperatures of people, kind of like a first line sort of screening process that you can use. The solution that we're going to be taking a look at today is utilising the actual temperature screening thermal cameras with the X model Deep in Mind unit, which is a facial recognition unit, linked through into HikCentral. So it allows for faster temperature readings as opposed to using a standard thermometer stopping each person. The cameras themselves can read temperatures as people walk in front of them, and there is some configuration to do with that, which you can speak to ourselves, Dynamic CCTV, for. There's a few different solutions that this kind of caters for. So larger residential communities, public transportation, industry parks, office buildings, and also retail stores as well, which they're at the moment. So with HikCentral, you can manage multiple sites, and those can be remote, so you can do it remotely from the main control room. And then on each site, they could have a control client on a PC running the software, and it will allow you to get the temperature readings from that specific site. And you can also build up reports for employees. So you can export a report that will give you all the temperatures that have been detected for each person, and that will link up to that actual person's face using the facial recognition X model NVRs through HikCentral through that. The HikCentral solution also incorporates the density control solution as well. So if you're monitoring the amount of people that are allowed in the building, HikCentral software incorporates both solutions into one system through this. So HikCentral itself is a licensed CMS software that allows you to centrally control your Hikvision solution on site or remotely. And so you can add multiple locations into one single HikCentral server, depending on the actual scale of the deployment. It also allows you to have advanced alarm and event handling solutions through HikCentral. So you can have events on a system, control access control units through the Hikvision access control systems, or third-party integrations also available. It also allows multiple users and multiple clients stream the cameras on site and also remotely, so they can remotely connect to the HikCentral server, receive any events and alarms or anything like that through their system. And it is a fully customizable solution from Hikvision HikCentral software, which we can assist on any customizations that you may need to meet the requirements of your individual system. Also allows you to achieve required functionality and integration with many different kind of technologies that you can use, and there is more flexibility when it comes to third-party integration as well, which is Paxton access control, and also the Galaxy alarm panel systems as well at the moment, with a lot more coming further down the line as well. This is kind of the basic HikCentral architecture that you'd use. So you'd have your HikCentral Professional, which is the server in the middle, and then you can have your storage requirements, either using NVR or cloud storage or hybrid SAN unit. There's also a pStore storage server solution that we offer from Dynamic, which is kind of the preferred option with use with HikCentral, especially on larger deployments or when you're needing large amounts of storage space and also higher throughputs as well through the system on there. And it will also incorporate every Hikvision device into HikCentral now, so it can be your full management solution for it, with the added functions of the temperature screen solutions now and also the density control solutions. So for the system using a temperature screening solution, you'd have your thermographic cameras for the actual screening, and then you'd have your NVR. This can either be an I-series NVR or an X model NVR. The X model will allow you to do your facial recognition, so you can actually build up databases with the X model. And then you'd have a laptop or PC running the control client, which the operator would then use to check any of the temperatures of people coming through. and also receive your alarms to. In the background, you'd have a HikCentral hardware server. So we do the HC web server, which is a custom built server that we've put together for our systems. And that allows you to view the actual live view from the actual cameras. So the cameras themselves by spectrum. So there's an optical image and also a thermal image that you can stream through the control clients. And it will give you alarm notifications instantly when they're triggered. And it also allows you to have visitor management. So if it's a public building, you can actually screen out visitors as well, contactless sign in, so they're not handling any kind of pens or anything on site. And you can also export advanced temperature reporting through HikCentral as well, which isn't offered on the other solutions. So with the live view monitoring, the actual statistics dashboard and the real-time notifications will come through to the desktop control clients, and it will also come through to the HikCentral mobile app. So as long as you're connected to your HikCentral server using the HikCentral Pro app on your mobile, you can receive any of your events through there, and also the live views from the cameras themselves to bring those through. So this is just a short video just showing it in action on the actual system. So you'll see in a moment as people walk through. Down the right hand side, it's showing the captures that have been detected. This is using the standalone camera, and this isn't using facial recognition, it's just using face capture. Green showing a normal temperature with a mask worn, and yellow is a normal temperature without a mask worn, and then red would be an abnormal temperature on the system through there. But we'll do a live demo of that in a moment. On the web client, there's also a live view monitoring function through here now, which will allow you to actually receive the results as kind of a temporary solution through the web client of HikCentral itself, which is a new feature that Hikvision themselves have brought in. And it can allow you to register those temperatures and give the temperature a name as it's being detected. This will only show through abnormal temperatures coming through as an alarm on the actual web client itself. But for more advanced features and the better kind of user interface, it's best to use the full HikCentral control client software on the PC. So with the actual control client itself, it'll give you a real-time count display on the control client software. So it'll give the total number of people that have been detected, total that have been detected without a mask. Normal will be wearing a mask and also a normal temperature, and then your abnormal will be an abnormal temperature that's been detected by the system. There's also an option for visitor registration and reporting through HikCentral. So if it's a public building through the web client, as a person walks in, you can register them as a visitor with their name and a temporary ID. And then through that, you can track that they've had a normal temperature when they've come into the building, or if they've been screened as an abnormal temperature, you can log that down in the system as well, even if they're not added in as an actual person. So with the advanced reporting, you can generate reports through the web client, which you should be able to see just on the short video here. So you can actually see any abnormal temperatures that have been detected per day or per week, depending on how you refine it. And also if they're unregistered to the system. So if you're a system where you're screening out employees versus public, your registered would be your employees that you've added to the facial recognition database. So they'd be registered, and your unregistered would be anyone that has been like a visitor to the actual building itself. So this is the overall solution using the Deep in Mind X model unit with HikCentral. So you'd have a thermographic camera connected to a Deep in Mind X model recorder, running a customized version of firmware that supports the temperature screening solution, which if the units are purchased from ourselves, we can put that firmware on the unit before it's sent out to you, as long as you inform sales when the order goes through. So this allows you to build up different kinds of reports and statistics from the temperature screening, as well as a better user interface and multiple user interfaces for multiple people to receive. So it's more based towards larger deployments, or when you want to monitor multiple remote sites, or just centrally control a full system through HikCentral. So with this on the actual control client, you can see there along the bottom we've got the real-time results, and then we've got the facial recognition comparisons down the right hand side, and all the results will show the temperatures that have been detected. which I'll show better on the live demo when we get onto our system. There's also a new product called the Minmore, which is an access control terminal with facial recognition, but it now also has a thermal camera actually built into the unit. So you can actually use it as a screening solution as well as an employee management system or building management system, which can be fully controlled via the HikCentral server-based solution. So you'd have your Minmore terminals sat on the network, and you'd upload your facial recognition databases as people through the web client of HikCentral, which we'll show on our X model MVR in a moment. And with that, you can set it so that if a normal temperature is detected and the face is recognized, it will open the door that the unit's connected to. And if you're using it with employees and you've uploaded your full employee database to HikCentral, you can generate reports to show each employee's temperature that has been detected over a given period. And you can automate those reports to be emailed across as well to a site manager or anything like that. And you can also see the statistics in real time. It can also be configured so that the door will just open if a normal temperature is detected, if it's an open place, and there's no need for the person to be registered to the door. So there's a couple of different options there. And also with HikCentral, if you have multiple premises, you can centrally control it remotely over a WAN connection to the actual Minmore terminals. It doesn't have to be on the same site as the actual terminals themselves. It can be at your head office or something similar for that solution. So in regards to the HikCentral, these kind of a couple of different kit lists that we've built together. So you've got the fast deployment solution with the thermographic camera. You can also use an 𝐂𝐸𝐫𝐸 as an option as well for the unit. And this would just need a camera-based license for HikCentral. The actual software itself is a customized version, but the licenses themselves are just standard. You've then also got the Minmore access control kit that you can put together. So you'd have your access control based license with a camera license. And if you're looking at using the attendance system, so monitoring when people enter and exit or linking them to employees, you'd also need the attendance module added on HikCentral as well, which if you contact our sales team, they can help you build the quotes to get together for those. And then the most advanced one is the Deep in Mind temperature screening. This will be utilising thermographic camera with the X model Deep in Mind MVR, customised firmware on the MVR itself, and also the temperature screening camera. And on the HikCentral side of things, you'd need the camera base module and then the facial recognition add-on license for each individual camera that you want to use with the facial recognition linkage through the system on there. So if you bear me 2 seconds, I'll switch my screens over and we'll jump onto the web client of HikCentral itself. So you should now be able to see my web client of HikCentral there, which is just running on my laptop here. I'll log into this and go on to our home page. You can see this is the normal screen that would be given through HikCentral. This is where we can go in as the back-end management side of things. So we can go into our physical view. This is where our physical devices are added. And you can see there I've got our X model Deep in Mind unit added to the system. And what we can do is we can go straight into the web front end just by clicking the configuration cog there. And this will then bring up this window. So once that window is open, this is straight into the web front end of the actual Deep in Mind unit itself. So we need to make sure that the actual cameras are configured correctly. So if we go into our IP camera section, you can see we've got our temperature screening camera added in there on a 200.134 address. And if I open up the web page for this one, the actual camera direct, we need to make sure the thermographic settings of the camera itself are all configured for the system. So if we go into configuration here and then go down into our temperature screening option there, we can then see that we've got our enable temperature measurement enabled and also display temperature info on stream, which needs to be enabled for HikCentral. And we've got our emissivity set to 0.98, which is set for skin. And our detection distance is set at 2 meters there. And then if we go into our temperature screening configuration section, we've got this set up in our boardroom, just for this demo that I'm doing here. So the yellow box is where it'll be detecting me enter in the actual system itself. And we have all the options enabled at the top, and this will pass through the actual data to HikCentral. And our pre-alarm and alarm activation temperatures are set to 37 degrees. By default, it's set to 37.5, but I've just dropped them a little bit lower just for this setup here. And I'll be using a warm water bottle to trigger the actual alarm through to HikCentral. The one thing that we do have to ensure that's actually configured on the system in order for HikCentral to receive the alarms is the Notify Surveillance Center, which is ticked on the actual cameras themselves. And then if we then bring up our web client for the cameras themselves and go back into our HikCentral web client here, and then bring up the web client of the X model NVR. When you test everything, it works. First time, when you try and do it live, something times out. And I'll just drag this over. So everything's set up on the actual camera itself. Now on the X model Deep in Mind unit, we need to set up the actual event to link through into HikCentral. So in the smart event option, we need to go to the temperature measurement alarm, make sure the arming schedule is set to continuous, and then go to linkage method and set it to Notify Surveillance Center. So that allows the actual recorder to send through the events to HikCentral itself through the actual system there. And then what I can do is if I bring up my control client, so you can see there now, this is the actual control client of HikCentral itself. This is in the monitoring section. So you can see I've already been running through a few captures through here. So you can see there that it's showing in yellow down the right hand side as I'm not wearing a mask on these captures here. But what I can do is I will put my mask on and then trigger the actual camera. You bear me 2 seconds. So you can see there down in the bottom left-hand corner that it's actually detected me as a normal temperature and I'm showing as in green through there. And then if I use my warm bottle of water here and trigger the camera again, looks like my bottle of water's cooled down a bit too much before I filled it. It filled it a bit too early, but you can see on our alarms there, I have got ones that I've already triggered on the system. So these will flash up as the no mask detection did with the alarm triggered on the system. It will show my temperature there, so I was recorded at 38.3 degrees through the system, and it also shows you along the top of the screen as well for the system itself what the actual real-time results have been. So these are real-time counts as they've been detected on HikCentral. So you can see I've had 91 detections with no masks. I've had 79 normal temperatures detected, and I've had 14 abnormal when I've been using the bottle to my forehead there to actually trigger it. Through there, and you can see all of the other guys that have been through and actually triggered the camera itself. So if I click on someone that hasn't been added to the system here, so if this was a new person that's actually entered the building itself, instead of having to go into the web client of HikCentral in order to be able to add them as a person to the system, I can select the actual detection and click Add to Person List there. What that will do is it will save the capture and allow me to add it to my face comparison group. So I can give this a name of just test. Set them to male, and then I can add them in to my face comparison group. So they'd now be added into the system, and then when they walk in, their temperatures will be detected and it will actually link it to that person now that I've added my colleague into the system there through there. What you can also do on the web client of HikCentral, if I just log back into mine, you also have the ability on the web client itself to receive your real-time alerts through into the temperature screening page of the web client of HikCentral. And we can also go in and run reports. So if I go to the report section there, select the 2 cameras that I've got added and click generate report, you can see there I've had 12 alarms that have been triggered on the actual system itself. and they were alarmed and unregistered people that triggered this system. So you can generate reports daily or hourly, depending on the system requirements on site, to actually run that through. So it is a really powerful solution when it comes to monitoring people and also employees within a company, and you can generate reports with their names and their temperatures that are being detected over a specific time period that you configure. The other thing that I do want to show is on the actual web client, the event and alarm section. So this is what you'd use to actually trigger the temperature alarms through to the control clients or the mobile apps that are logged in through HikCentral. So with this, what we could actually do, so we've added these in as system monitored events. So these are kind of the events that happen in the background on the server itself. So I've got an abnormal temperature test configured there. At the moment, this isn't actioned. So on the actual system in the background, I haven't configured it to send an email or anything. It's just sitting there so I can actually build an alarm from that event. What I could do is I could action that. So I could enable action and I could trigger recording. So if it was in a foyer, for example, what we could do is if an abnormal temperature is detected, we could set the other cameras within that foyer or entrance to actually start recording. So you can have multiple angles of view from the system. And we can also set it to capture a picture when the person's abnormal temperature has been detected. That one I've got it set to the source camera. You can also trigger PEZs or send emails on the actual temperature alert as well. So there's a few different things that you can do with that. Once your system monitored events are created, you can then go into the alarm section, and this is how you want the alarms to be received on the control clients. So if I edit the top one here, you can see I have the option to select which recipients that I want to receive the alarms. So if you have multiple users on HikCentral, you can send it to only alert the managers within a building or specific staff members through that there. And you can also have it so it can actually trigger other events. So if an abnormal temperature is detected, you could lock the doors within the foyer or the main entrance, so the person couldn't get any further into the building when an abnormal temperature is detected, and that can alert through onto the control clients. And you can also configure it to, if you're using a video wall in a monitoring station, using HikCentral, that can be displayed on the actual video wall using the decoder, if that's an option that's required on the site there. So that's just a brief look at the actual web client and the control client of the actual system. I hope that was useful, just showing the actual live demo. Fortunately, my water bottle had cooled down a bit from when I initially started the webinar when I filled it, but we can send you the videos through of the actual alarm triggering through there. So just a couple of things I just wanted to mention just before we go on to Q&A. So ourselves at Dynamic have put together 2 new brochures, which will be linked on the PDF that will go out after this webinar with all of the slides on that we've used today. And these will be clickable links in those PDFs. So there's a temperature screening brochure that includes all of the temperature screening solutions that are available, as well as kit lists. So it makes it nice and easy to build a kit list together. And there's also the new density control brochure that has been put together for the density control solutions, with also the HikCentral density control solution in there as well, with kit lists which can be put together for that solution. And it may be something that we do touch on in the webinar in the future as well for the density control solutions. We've also just wanted to go on to our tech support that we offer at Dynamic CCTV. So we have our tech support available Monday to Friday, 8:30 in the morning till 5:30 on afternoon, and up until 5 o'clock on Friday. We have 10 tech support team members waiting to take anyone's calls. There's no QR ticketing systems with ourselves, and all of our staff are highly knowledgeable and highly trained. And we do offer free remote port forwarding on our recorders as well. And we've also got our social links on this page from the PDF. And you can also subscribe to our tech bulletins as well. For any new tech news, we do send those out quite regularly. So we'll move on to our Q&As. So Stephen's asked, I've had someone point out that they have a number of people that either cycle or run to work. How would this affect the temperature measurement, RE/the waiting time? So if someone has exercised, it does elevate their actual temperatures. So you would need to have a cooling off period before they're read by the actual camera itself. to actually screen them, because obviously it would give you high temperature reading if they have just exercised. But this is as like first line screening, and so temperatures can be then checked if they're detected as abnormal using another means as well. Richard's asked about the Minmore terminal regarding the IVMS 4200, so if it would work through their standalone platform. And so the Minmore terminals do work with the IVMS 4200. You just don't have as many advanced time attendance features, but if you are just using it just as a screening solution on a door, you can use the IVMS 4200 software, but if you are wanting the advanced reporting through there, that can actually be done through HikCentral. But IVMS is more of the basic kind of solution for the system there. So Chris has asked if there's a required distance that the camera should be, or the person from the actual camera. So depending on the actual camera you go for, the distances vary. The one that I'm using here is 1.5 to 2 meter detection distance that we've got in the office, which is the temperature screen turret camera. And regarding entrance doors, it can be looking out into an open environment outside. Any wind or external viewing can affect it, but glass does stop thermal detections going through, and that's also why sometimes you'll get a thermal reflection when a temperature or a thermal camera is actually looking at a piece of glass. It refracts the actual thermal through that. Obviously, if you have any further questions on the HikCentral solution, please get in touch with myself. My contact details are on screen there, or any large project-based systems, you can contact through there. Thank you for joining us today, and hope you take care and stay safe, and follow any of our upcoming webinars that are available on our website as well.